So today, we're going to start talking about the highest primary register, which is the head voice. Now remember guys, the reason that I'm doing this is because so many singers come to voice generally when they practice. And a lot of times, we don't really look at all of the components that make up a healthy and successful voice, right? It's really important. Maybe you're aware of your chest voice, maybe you're aware of your head voice, you're aware of this thing called mix. But when was the last time that you actually spent some dedicated time making sure that each part of your voice is balanced and that you're singing in that register correctly? And that's what this month is about. So remember that we said that chest voice contributes your foundation, your strength to your mix. It's your foundation for power. Okay? So you need the presence of chest voice so that you have something to mix with. Likewise, head voice provides an important feature to your finished sound, and that feature is release and agility. Okay? So if you happen to be on the side where you have a really present, strong voice, but you feel like that voice gets stuck, or you have a limit, then you need to be accessing more head voice. Or if you've been training and you notice that your head voice is a little bit underdeveloped, like maybe every time you sing up high you get a weaker sound or a breathier sound, today is going to be an important workout for you. But in general, you want both of these features in your finished product. Chest voice contributing strength and head voice contributing release. Now, just like last week, we talked about how there are two resonant sensations for each register. Chest voice was the sternum, the chest cavity, and the mouth cavity and the hard palate. Those were the two sensations. For head voice, we're moving on, and we've also got likewise two sensations, okay? So head voice gets its name because it feels a little bit like the resonance ascends into the head, and that's where it gets its original name from. If you put one hand on your chest and one on the back of your head, let's feel the chest voice resonance again. Say, hey! And you can feel those sympathetic vibrations in the chest cavity. Now, if you give me a high voice, whee! You'll feel almost nothing in the chest cavity, and it feels like that voice ascends up the back into the head, okay? And so that's where it gets its name from. So the outside sensation of head voice is that sensation of release behind a high and wide soft palate, okay? It feels like the voice is going up into your head. Now, it's not going into your head, and we even have a word that's a little bit outdated now called the head cavity. But the problem is there's no cavity up here, okay? Your head is full of things, your brain. So where is it actually flowing through? It's actually flowing through the nasal cavity. We only have two access points. We've got the mouth cavity and the nasal cavity. So head voice is leaving the mouth behind. It's going up behind the soft palate and flowing through the nasal passages. You know how you can breathe out your mouth, and you can breathe through your nose. Now, we don't feel it as distinctly as that for sure when we sing. But when we sing in our high voice, the voice should be choosing the higher nasal passage. And don't confuse this with nasality. Okay, it's not that we sing in our nose, that's an exaggeration. That's driving the resonance to the front of the face. But rather, we just want to allow the voice to flow through the nasal cavity. Okay, so the inside feeling of head voice then is going to be mask resonance. Maybe you've heard that term before, and to get specific about it, we should feel sympathetic vibrations, very subtle, okay, but on the cheekbones, primarily on the bridge of your nose, and maybe a little bit on the brow. Okay, those are going to be hard surfaces. Conductive surfaces off the bones where the vibrations can reflect. So if you give me another light cheer, whee! You may notice those two things. You should feel like the voice feels like it's going upward and inward behind the palate, and then up front it should feel very bright, and you should feel a nice ring up on those mask conductive surfaces. You getting that? Any questions so far? Okay, so what's the outside feeling of head voice? Up and back, okay, up into the head cavity or up behind the soft palate, right? And what's the inward feeling of head voice? Right. The bridge of the nose, the cheekbones, and the brow up on the mask, okay, for the inward sensations, all right? So let's get to it now. Let's start developing the head voice, all right? What we need to understand about singing in head voice is that your vocal cords are going to lengthen and thin out. Okay? And a lot of times when we sing into this condition, because the cords are in a much thinner state, they have a harder time closing. And especially if you're trying to sing with some kind of strength or power, a lot of singers will overdo the head voice and end up in actually a falsetto. And this also is an important thing that for contemporary singing, we've really brought that definition forward, okay? So in traditional technique, you're going to hear a lot of teachers say that women have head voice and men have falsetto, that women don't have falsetto and men don't have head voice, okay? And I remember growing up with my teachers, everything up high, when I sang high, wah! Even that kind of a sound, they would say that's his falsetto, okay? And for women, they call everything up high head voice. But what we're looking at today is actually adapting that term and moving it forward. So if we go back to the root of the term falsetto, in its root, it means false. And what's false about it is the vocal cords. So everybody take your hands again real quick. And if you let your hands go slack, as if these were your vocal cords, can everybody see me online? Okay? If you let your cords go slack and you talk through them, you can be in the high head voice register, but your vocal cords are going to be loose and the air is going to pass through them. Hi! Try that. That's a falsetto. The chords are false. And it doesn't matter how much air I add to that, it's going to be a futile production. Okay? You can't use dynamics in falsetto because the air is passing through the vocal cords rather than them adducting and resisting that airflow. Hi! So I can push harder and harder, but I don't get any more result. Likewise, if I try to transition anywhere in my voice, it's unsuccessful because the chords are open to begin with. Hi! It goes nowhere. And if I want to force it to connect to the rest of my voice, you're going to hear that break or that flip as the chords slam shut. Hi! Okay, that's when they've reestablished their contact. Hi! Right? You can hear that. So falsetto, if we're doing it, it can be used for style and it can be a beautiful color, but we need to make sure that we're actually learning head voice. And the distinct difference is that head voice is in the same register, but the vocal cords are closing. Okay, they're coming together to produce a true sound. Hi! Try that one. Hi! Right, so again, I can kind of do a party trick. I can go, hi, 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 hi. You hear the open chords versus the closed chords. Try that for me real quick. 1, 2, 3. Loose, hi, together. Hi, open, hi, closed, hi. Okay, now what's the secret there? What's the trick? How am I actually able to do that, just in case you're not? I'm adding a light cry sound to the voice, okay? And we've worked on this in previous classes. But if you go back to kind of a vocal fry or a light vocal cry sound, say, oh no. Say, hi. That's going to gently pull those chords together into their phonation. Hi. So if I'm up on that top note, ooh, and I initiate with a little bit of that feeling, ooh, then the chords close before the air passes into them, and then we've got our balance. Ooh, try. Right, so today we're working on establishing that chord closure in this thin state, where the vocal cords have lengthened and thinned out, but we're not letting air push through them or accidentally leak through them into a falsetto. And then we want to be able to go back and choose falsetto as a style. Okay, so this is really important. And like I said, this also adapts those terms. You know that if you listen to a lot of really popular singers, women, like if we're talking about Billie Eilish, right? And Olivia Rodrigo and every other young singer that we could name off right now, they love the falsetto color. They're flipping into a female falsetto, choosing a breathy texture on purpose. Okay, so that's where that term comes from. Absolutely, females in contemporary singing can choose a falsetto. That color wasn't considered appropriate to the classical school. So of course they said females don't have falsetto because if you sang with a breathy voice, you just weren't singing. All right, but for contemporary, it becomes a very emotional, stylistic color. And men, we have our falsetto. Masculine voices, we have falsetto. We also have access to the true head voice, and that's a very commercial sound for masculine voices. Okay, so if you're listening to like The Weeknd or Justin Timberlake or Bruno Mars or Michael Jackson or anyone for the last decades since pop music started, you're going to hear that high male head voice. And you want to start to be able to distinguish between an open condition, which would be falsetto, and a closed condition, which would be the head voice. Is that making sense? Okay, so let's all get into this head condition real quick. I want you to kind of sigh like you're tired at the end of a long day, and make sure that you feel all the weight come off your voice, and that it feels very head dominant. So if I was going to breathe in, like I'm tired, and go, whee! Right, and what you notice is that I'm starting with head resonance and then coming down. So I'm not starting with anything that's heavy or big. Whee! And even in my low voice, I've got a head dominance, okay? Another term for this is called cricothyroid dominant. Remember, I showed you the muscles, and the cricothyroid, the CT muscle, is what lengthens and thins the chords and puts them in the head voice condition. So we're using a lot of that muscle, and then we're using a very gentle closure from the TA muscle to get those chords together. Whee! Try. Right, and you want to keep that light control. And then if we come from the bottom, whee! Right, okay, so you hear that. I'm not going wee, which is going to cause me to flip. I'm starting with a head dominance, wee, and going for that light control. Try it one more time, sorry. And. Good, okay, so we're going to be using a lot of that color today. Now, to make sure that your chords are coming together, if you're suffering from a little bit of separation and the air's leaking through, you're getting some of that falsetto, we're going to use a hard consonant to assist with a clean attack. So say geek, geek, gee, and you'll feel how that activates the closure, and goo, goo, goo. Right, and what we want to do is start to come right up into that voice where we would go, okay, so, or for the more feminine voices. For the masculine voices, so I'm working on starting with that connection in the voice and not letting it be go, 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 go. Let it be broken or airy, okay? Which would feel really taxing. Can we try that together? Let's start on those feminine voices. The high voice, so we're going to be starting here. Ready? 2. So we're going to do gee to goo. It's going to be. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Good. Don't drop into chest voice. Good. Good. Work on keeping that head dominant color. One more. And. Good. All right. And then let's try taking it a little bit in the other direction. 2, 3, 4. Now go as high with it as you comfortably can. Good. Go for that control. Breathe. One more. And. Good, and you can begin to take that higher too to work out the chest. Just make sure that you don't begin to increase the volume, you don't push, and that you're going for that really healthy, balanced onset, okay? Let's try this with the masculine voices, all right? So we're gonna try this here. And again, we're gonna pull it down through the bridge first, and then try to ascend in the range with it, okay? Gee to goo. 2, 3, 4. Gee, 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 goo, 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 goo. Gee, 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 goo, 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 goo. Good, go for the light control. Don't go to chest voice. One more coming down. Geek, 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 goo, 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 goo. Good. Now let's see if we can take it a little higher. 2, 3, 4. Geek, 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 goo, 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 goo. Good. Be careful with how much you push the air. Don't go to falsetto. And then go as high as you comfortably can. Let's go for one more and. Good, starting to establish that. You guys feel the difference between falsetto and head voice? Is that starting to make a little bit of sense? Okay, let's keep moving. So let's go back to that sensation of that tiny cry, and let's try where we go for the closure, okay? The thing about falsetto too, a lot of you might feel like when you sing in your head voice, you're stuck between two things. You're either trying to sing with power because you're intimidated by the range, and then you're kind of forcing up there, things come up tight and stuck, the pitch feels difficult to maintain, or you're trying to relax and you're getting that loose, airy sound, and then you feel like you can't sustain the pitch and you can't use it in a consistent way. So what we want to start to do is establish those thin chords and get a little bit more control. So this is Pianissimo Control, and this will also give you really, really strong economy of breath. So let me show off for a second, but if I'm coming up into a pitch like this and I go, okay, and it just, what I'm doing is I'm filling the lungs, and it's such a light production that the voice can just pull gently. And because the chords are closed, I get this really efficient production, and that's what I want you going for, okay? So we're starting with that light cry sound again, so give me a little ooh, ooh, like Britney Spears. Say ooh, ooh, baby. And feel that gentle closure of the chords. Ooh, ooh. Okay, you can just show off. You get the idea? So you'll get there too, but you got to make sure that you're not trying to drive any kind of energy into the voice. You're letting it pull from the reserves in the lungs, okay? So that's what we're working on. The scale sounds like what I was doing right there. We're going to go. And you want to start with that light cry sound, and then make sure that as you walk up the steps of that melody, that you don't push any harder. So I don't want I don't want to be pushing. That's going to do all kinds of things. That's going to bring in thicker chords, more chest voice. It could make you go flat. It could blow the chords apart. And then you've just lost the control. So we want to pull back to that pianissimo control. Ooh, ooh. Okay, we can all start here, but it's going to be a little bit lower than head voice for the feminine voices, all right? So we'll continue to ascend. Again, sing where you're comfortable. Start with that light cry that activates gentle chord closure. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good, reset. Should feel amazing. Use as much vibrato as you're able to. If you don't have any, that's okay. We'll work on that in another class. But that's going to reduce the tension, and it's going to increase the resonance. Good. Good. Keep that pianissimo control. Good. That's the way. Good, we're getting way up there. Remember not to force it. We just got to cover the range. You might surprise yourself. good. Here, my voice fell out. That's fine. That's what you're looking for. One more. This is to high C, above middle C. Good. So remember I said it may have been a long time since you've kind of checked in with this part of your voice and gave it a dedicated workout, spent some time on it, and really discovered what it can do. Okay? But it's an important part.
Interested in more voice training? Visit us at wolfstudiosnyc.com.